Welcome back to another episode of Poker Time. Here's Action Aaron under the gun.
Looking sullen for some reason. What reason is that, Jonathan?
Well, he might have just lost the biggest pot in the history of Poker Time, which happened on our last episode. So.
You can see Batiste stack there. He won a $5,200 pot against Aaron, hitting a one-outer.
Now he's got 1,000 blinds in front of him. It's going to be interesting to see if Aaron plays tilty and if Batiste opens it up even more.
And you might think Aaron's playing tilty because he opened ace-4 off under the gun, but no. That's just a hand that Aaron plays under the gun.
Oh, absolutely.
What a turn. Pretty good turn. That was a crazy hand.
Still talking about it.
I didn't think you were that strong.
I knew you were strong. I didn't think you were that.
Randy's 3-bet with 7-6 offsuit here, by the way.
Randy will do that. Digital Dan decides his hand's just too good. And Batiste certainly wasn't going to fold anyway, but
And K6 is going to call too because his odds are incredible.
does get to close the action.
I'm trying
That part's good.
to make it look like I have a flush draw because I think I have the best. Well, obviously it didn't.
Randy has decent equity against these hands. And look at that.
More so now.
Poker, dude.
He knew when to 3-bet, I guess.
I don't care whether it's
He's
a
going to check it.
$40 pot.
See if anyone takes a shot here.
I don't think they will. Although I like checking from a metagame perspective here. He's not supposed to like this flop against 3 opponents when he's the 3-better.
Can't be that bad to give everyone a chance to catch up a little bit, too. Although
That's
that
a bad card.
You don't like that card for yourself or for anybody else.
Although you do expect a lot of diamond draws would have bet the flop.
Absolutely. That's true. Digital Dan, everyone's going to fold here.
I can't imagine anything else happening.
Let's see if Randy shows the 6 or not. Good job, Randy. Don't show him anything.
He never does.
I just wait till I'm beat, then I bet.
You hear that?
Yeah.
That's right, Randy. Well, you are right, though. Usually diamond draws would have bet the flop. Usually.
It is definitely not the best card in the arsenal for Randy there. Will Thorpe pull an action arrow and open wide under the gun again? No.
That would have been pretty wide.
He's given up on that life. Digital Dan with an actual hand. It's hard to see those in this game.
It's true. Digital Dan with perhaps a second life this hand may give him.
Perhaps.
So, little
And
digital.
He's getting 3-bet, though, by
Digital joke.
Batiste.
Randy calls with the Jack-10 off on the button. And here we go.
I wonder if Batiste's 3-bet frequency will increase now that he has a monster stack in front of him.
I would expect it to. Good flop for Digital. Dan
Yeah, real good.
does everything a Digital can.
Batiste decides to check there. Ace-10 of hearts would be nice. He only has 1, though.
Yep. See if
And Randy's
Randy-
going to bet. Mostly for protection, I assume.
Yeah. It's not a terrible time to bet for Randy. He might have the best hand.
You pretty much know Batiste doesn't have a king or better when he checks this really textured flop.
Digital Dan decides not to wait. Brings out the horses right now.
What do you do as Randy here?
Against Digital Dan, I think you fold.
I think you do too, but you worry. It's a pretty draw-heavy board. There's a ton of flush draws and combo draws out there.
Well, we're not doing great against the combo draws anyway. And the flush draws, yeah, but we haven't seen Digital Dan do anything. You know, he's not gone out of line. Randy does call, though.
I guess he's putting him on one of those draws.
It's not crazy. There's, the queen tens and the hearts, and Digital Dan unlikely to check raise a gut shot, but it's possible.
He's also unlikely to check raise a 1-pair hand, so...
This card, by the way, great for Randy.
Yeah.
Digital Dan has to hate this card. Turns out Digital Dan is got Randy drawing dead. Looks like he is going to bet it, but Randy is the guy who absolutely could have a 7 here. I don't know if I love this bet. I guess you're putting him on a draw a lot himself.
Yeah, I think Randy has a lot of draws here, and you kind of have to continue betting if you're Dan.
Yeah. 300 into 590, totally reasonable bet, half pot. And Digital Dan going to basically just barf if he gets raised, though, right?
Yeah, the barf call. Like we talked
I don't know if
about.
he's going to
Maybe
barf
not
call.
even
It might barf fold if he
might.
gets raised.
He might.
But he can, of course, have a full house. He can have the 7 himself. He could have a whole bunch of things. It's hard for him to have a 7, really, I guess.
I think it's reasonable to continue there, but certainly if he got raised by Randy, it would be a tricky spot.
Yeah, to say the least.
Or in front, whatever.
How many times do you think Batiste's going to 3-bet in this episode here?
I'm putting the over-under at 5.5.
I'll take under, but it's close.
We already have 1.
The big pot tonight? Yeah.
Digital Dan limping the old 3-deuce suited. Randy's got him crushed with the 4-5 suited.
Indeed, he does. We'll go $1,000 on that Batiste
Okay.
over-under. Okay, we'll see.
No
who
problem.
wins.
Aaron has Randy crushed.
1,000 grand
And Thorpe
bucks.
has Aaron crushed.
It just never ends, the domination.
A cascade of domination.
And never mind.
Never mind anything.
Somehow everyone misses.
Thorpe has Jack high, and it is way, way ahead. Still way ahead.
No one has anything still. No one has a draw of any kind.
Randy flopped the backdoor straight flush draw, but that didn't work out.
And a 6 on the river means everyone is playing the board except for Brian
There is
Thorpe.
one card out of the 8 cards in all of these players' hands that plays.
It was bound to happen with the wide ranges, and Thorpe's going to get to showdown and win with Jack high 4 ways. Let's watch his expression. There it is.
That's the proper reaction. That's how you're supposed to react there.
That is a shocking win. $80. Anyone could have obviously won that at any time, but 4 players in the pot, it's hard to bluff.
It is.
Even for these guys, it's a little harder.
I mean, Randy's in the pot. You're going to bluff? You crazy?
I mean, Randy himself could be bluffing,
yeah, he
but
could.
he decided not this time. The problem is on that ace-ace-6 board, someone with trip aces often is going to check that flop, and then
Yeah.
it gets hard to tell a story and all these things. Turns out, obviously, it would have worked fine.
It's fun. We got to see a 4-way Jack high win on Poker Time.
You just don't see that really ever anywhere. Like, ever. It's a limp and a raise. Randy says,
Okay, Randy with 7-5.
I got the 7-5, and they're both black, so it's an easy raise for me.
And Wonka, of course, calling with a dominated hand.
But it's a suited hand, and it's a reasonable call.
Of course it is.
In the cutoff. It's you know, for him, actually, I'm a little surprised. Because
Yeah.
I expect to be slightly more connected, but the rest of the world,
Maybe
everyone else
Wonka,
at this table would call.
Maybe Wonka's letting himself go a little bit after all of these episodes
Yeah.
of him being super nitty.
Maybe.
Digital Dan flops a set here, and K6 flops top pair with a king kicker.
This could get a little ugly. Let's see how
Aaron,
both
by
these
the
guys play
way,
it.
has a gut shot, and Wonka has a pair.
Wonka, I think, is just going to fold.
Randy folded a gut shot himself as well. Everybody flopped something this time. It's kind of the opposite of last hand.
I expect Aaron to fold. Maybe if he had the ace of hearts in his hand, he could find a call. But Digital Dan, I expect he's going to bring the hammer down right now.
Looks like a call. Yeah, he's calling.
Oh, hey. Well, as long as a heart doesn't come.
He doesn't want to blow away K6's one pair hands.
But see,
Yeah.
the problem with this is, based on K6 actual hand, there's so many bad cards that are going to slow him down. All hearts, aces, queens, jacks, 3s, and 4s are going to slow him down.
Yeah, it's a bad run out for Dan and for K6's hand.
Yeah.
I assume Dan's going to bet at this point and just pray for a hero call.
Super hard to get value. What do you have that that he can beat? Like 5-6 that's turning a 6 into a bluff? That's it, right?
That's it. I think K6 should be folding here because everything got there, as you
Yeah.
mentioned. Some gut shots got there, like 5-7. Hearts got there.
Yeah.
You could have
Ace
easily been
deuce.
beat on the flop already, which he was.
I guess.
Or Dan could have caught up with Queen 10 on the river.
Yeah. Ace deuce, even though like you can beat ace deuce, you can beat 5-6. Both of them have showdown value anyway. I don't know that. And Digital Dan's maybe the tightest player at the table besides Wonka.
I understand that it's a frustrating spot and you wanna call. You flop top pair.
Sure.
But I think you probably should be folding here.
Last week you
If you can only think of 2 hands you can beat, you should probably not call.
It's because Dan, to be clear, Dan's not betting Jack 10 on the river here.
Right. No, he's betting maybe not all better hands, but he's probably betting Queen 10, actually.
He's not betting Ace 10
He's
probably.
not betting ace 10, that's the thing. But is maybe not betting 2 jacks, but he's probably betting a queen even. Like if he somehow had a lone queen, I don't know how he has a lone queen.
He doesn't, ever.
Right, he's got 2 pair or he's got a flush.
Yeah.
Or a straight.
Or a set,
Or a set.
which he does have. Although you wouldn't put him on a set.
Nope.
K6 is having a real tank about this. I think he knows he's supposed to fold it, but he just really doesn't want to.
No. I don't think, he doesn't look like the kind of guy who's going to throw his cards away this time, I got to tell you.
No, he's got that look in his eyes.
See the way he keeps staring down and his fingers pressed against his cheek.
Yeah, it looks like he just put
There's
the chips in.
call. Just, I
And
think
that's
it's
the
like-
bad news,
It's
yeah.
like a curiosity call as much as anything.
Yeah.
Like, how did it happen? How did you get me? Oh, you always had me.
Bit of a
Okay.
sheepish muck there from K6. He kind of knew what was going on.
Seems like it.
At 100%. Probably faster than.
Could have saved that 140 and donked it away in another hand, but no.
I know you have something strong because you don't usually.
I've called in spots like that before for sure.
Sure. We all have.
Yeah.
We all have.
What do you do that with ace king of clubs? What do you do
Yes.
with? Yeah, no, I'm just like
We're still talking about that hand that ended last session
Well, it was
because
the biggest pot in the history of Poker Time.
yeah,
Yeah, but not
$5,000 got shipped Batiste's way when he hit the 1-outer on the turn after they were all in on the flop. How about that?
That's one way to live life.
Yeah, if you can live life where you hit your 1-outer on the turn after you're already all in, you're doing okay. Of course, you have to sometimes fade the redraw.
Randy has the 90th percentile hand in his range here. The king 7 off, and he's going to open it.
Obviously not true, but maybe not as far away from truth as we'd want to believe. You know, that's probably like a top 33% hand, and anyway.
Thorpe flops a gut shot. Randy flops not much.
Digital Dan flops bottom 2.
Batiste flops a gut shot as well.
Randy is going to bet his king 7, just taking a shot.
I don't think I like this bet.
This many players on this what a board.
It's almost never getting through, right?
This is all over the caller's ranges, the queen 10-8. I mean, maybe it's range neutral, but it's certainly not. It's not good for the razor's range. Like you'd want to be betting, you know, your straight. I guess you could have king jack, queen 10 10 8 8,
queen 10,
jack 9,
10 8.
That's it. Those are the only things you should probably be betting on this board. Ace queen. You could bet ace queen if you wanted to.
Whether or not there's a range advantage for the razor or the caller, there's 3 callers.
Yeah.
You know, it's never getting through.
Digital Dan bumps it right up. Not shocking at all.
This is probably going to end matters.
I like this play, though. This seems right. Randy.
Thorpe. What about Thorpe's hand here? He's got bottom pair with the gut shot and the backdoor flush draw.
He's not going to be out of position. He's got the button in front of him. That helps. It's probably not enough.
He's going to call, looks like. He's getting a decent price.
Effectively, they are kind of deep here. Although this is going to really change the stack to pot ratio if he finds a call. Still going to be about 2 to 1 if he finds the call, though. That's probably enough.
I think I would fold.
I would fold, too. But having the gutter...
He does find the fold
The problem, of course, is if you hit your gutter, you could be losing.
Right.
Which is a problem. Now, it's not very likely, but it could happen.
It could happen, and if you hit your gutter against Dan's raising range there, Dan will have redraws against that most of the time.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. Just seems like, what are we really hoping for? I mean, I guess we're hoping for an 8. Which
Jack of Hearts.
Jack of Hearts would be a great card. An 8 would have not been a good card, but we would think it was a good card if we saw it. An 8 or a 9. So we really had the Jack of Hearts is really the only card we could really feel great about.
And look at this. Randy continues his blind raising under the gun. This time he doesn't have an ace, as he had every time previous.
Not allowed to straddle here, but he doesn't care. He'll blind raise anyway.
Put the money in, you know?
Digital Dan surprisingly calls.
Well, he does know Randy's under the gun range is everything because he blind raised.
And Aaron just flatted, which means that's everything too. I'm shocked.
I think a 3-bet would have been a better play there.
I think you just bump it to 100 and make everyone, have to live that life.
You live that life. Well, it's K6 in the big blind with Jack 6 suited. And unless Aaron flops something, it looks like a pretty barren flop for everybody here.
Let's see if Aaron decides to bet it. Nope. It's just going to check right through. Still looks like a big miss for the world.
Randy's going to take a shot here. He's got the open ender now.
I expect this is going to get through.
Aaron had Jack 9. He folded. Yeah, this is going to get through. Why would you not blind raise if you're just going to win like $100 every time you do?
I mean, if no one's going to 3-bet you, you're going to raise and you're just going to get call, and everyone's going to just check through a flop and fold when you bet the turn. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary. This, in fairness, 7 deuce deuce is kind of all over the blind person's range as much as anything.
Yeah.
Like he's the guy who's most likely to flop a full house. I mean, that's sort of ridiculous to say, of course, but since he's not being selective at all, if you're being selective in any way, you're not going to have 7 deuce.
We've seen Action Aaron call an under the gun raise with 7 deuce before, so I think I'm going to argue that and say Action Aaron is the most likely to have flopped a full house.
In fairness, that was offsuit, 7 deuce offsuit that Aaron had. God bless that guy.
Looks like Action Aaron's raised it up with the computer hand, as the kids are saying in 2001.
It's not the computer hand because it's suited.
Oh, the computer plus hand.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even mind.
Randy.
Small 3-bet.
He's been doing this the whole time. This entire, if you go back and look at the earlier sessions, always 55.
Seems too small.
I agree. However, he's been doing a pretty good job so far.
Well, he's not got many outs now because Aaron flops top pair with a 7 in his hand. Randy's going to continue. I might have checked here. I can validate continuing now.
It's fine to continue.
Aaron's just going to call.
Now we should be slowing down, though, as Randy.
Yeah, I don't think we can bet the turn.
With 2 overs.
Well, we picked up a gut shot, but so did Aaron.
I think we can check call a lot here.
Yeah,
Expect
check.
Aaron. Aaron surprisingly checks it back.
I like it. What?
Super sick river.
There is 4 to a straight out there, but I mean, Aaron's going to pay a bet here for sure, right?
I think he has to. Aaron just got one outed for the second time in about 7 hands.
Yeah, he did. That's pretty unlucky.
However, the other hand was a 5K pot. I assume he's not going to raise. He's probably just going to be able to call
This
here,
is going
right?
to be a $535 pot, which is
Yeah.
not insignificant,
But it is 10 times smaller than the
Yes.
other one, so he doesn't have to feel as bad about it. Also, he would expect to lose sometimes, right? Like, every time Randy has a 5,
which is possible.
I got to believe Aaron's just going to find a call here, and Randy's certainly can be wide on the river.
Randy's capable of bluffing here.
He usually bets big when he's bluffing on the river, though. I will say that.
I think I remember at least one hand where he bet pretty small as a bluff and
Yeah.
it worked out.
I remember that, too. Aaron looks like he raises.
Wow. That's interesting. I don't know about that one. What is he going to try to get value from? I imagine
Queen?
I imagine Randy's just going to put
Randy
the
says
chips in
barf
you.
call and turns over the winner.
Yep.
That was a pretty thin raise. I don't know if I hate it based on Aaron's reputation.
With Aaron's rep, yeah, I mean, Randy might call with 2 aces there, you know?
You have to at least think about it, right? And it's pretty interesting. Aaron not as polarized as you'd expect there, and so the hero call is not going to work super well against him.
Also, Randy sized it pretty small. Aaron might have
Yes.
sensed weakness out of that.
That's a great point.
And assumed that Randy had something like ace, queen, kings, or aces, and
Yeah.
that he would just be forced to pay off 150 more.
Or at least have to consider it.
Call 100. I'll just call 100.
He says, I'll just call the 100. That's funny.
Can't tell you how certain I was that was good.
Oh, you raised, so that's how certain you were.
We'll do a little limping fest. That's going to end right now.
Yeah, Batiste doesn't let this through.
It's 35. Batiste also ends up buying the button with the raise. Very nice.
Aaron, of course, not folding a pair. And Thorpe, once he puts chips in pre-flop, as we have seen, does not fold.
Yep, great spot for Batiste here. Most flops are going to really be to his advantage. Just got to dodge his 8s and 2s. Deuces, that's it. Thorpe does have the jack of spades here.
I imagine Batiste wins this hand on the flop.
Yeah.
Oh,
me
he
too.
checked it. Never mind.
No, I can understand why.
Well, now he's
going
gonna
to
win.
card for him. Beautiful turn
Thorpe's
card.
going to at least give him 1 bet here. Probably 2.
Yeah, Thorpe's going to bet and then probably call a bet on the river, assuming nothing strange
This
happens.
is a very small bet by Thorpe, by the way.
Batiste calls. Got to assume action Aaron will be action folding.
That was almost good. I'm lying. That was not anywhere near a good thing to say.
I'm going to make it into a thing. So let's see if Thorpe bets again or checks.
I prefer a check.
I actually don't hate a bet.
I
to
guess
tell you the truth.
he's choosing his price, which is
Yeah.
55. Batiste probably would have bet more, so that's not horrible.
Batiste is going to hero a lot, and most worse hands are going to check back. I kind of like a bet here.
What's Batiste heroing with though? Ace high, because he didn't bet 2 10s on the
2
flop.
7s.
2 7s
two
are
fives.
set now.
Oh, you're right. 2 7s bad example. 2 8s, 2 5s, ace 7. You know, and not ace 7's a bad one. Ace 6. I don't know. That's not too many things.
There's not too many things.
You're right. You could have 7-8, have an open ender, and decide not to bet it on the flop. He usually will bet that on the flop.
He might just
though.
fold the river with that.
Yeah, he might. But setting your price can't be that bad.
No. Well, Batiste is not folding this hand. I'm going to predict that.
Yeah, we've watched him play for a while. We know this. Hello.
Well, I think K6 is folding this hand. Oh, man, I was wrong.
He bets it up to 70. A little bit bigger. I like that sizing.
Batiste
especially
will call, I
in
assume.
position. He's trying to decide how much does K6 really have. That's what he's thinking. Only 430, but I'm calling anyway.
Yeah,
Come
because
on.
I'm Batiste and this is suited and semi-connected, and I
got-
love it.
Got 1,000 blinds in front of me. This guy still has $430 to win.
Let's make that 1,020 or so. That's the plan. And it's going to work. The plan works.
And it looks like K6 bets how much is
100 and 150,
that? Yep. Batiste just moves him in, hoping he's got an overpair.
which is a reasonable thought, because K6 is kind of forced into calling with his overpairs at this
Oh, yeah.
point.
For sure he is.
Batiste is a little unlucky, actually. Not as unlucky as K6, but a little unlucky that K6 has that part of his range and not 2 jacks.
Yep.
Safe price.
Say to rest was money. Yeah, you're right.
But he started this session off by not running very well, losing a lot of pots, and then that one-outer came, and now he can do no wrong.
Everything's just coming up Batiste right now.
Why'd you say it like that?
What do you mean?
It's because there's a P and you don't say it? Is that you're mad about that?
I don't understand why it's spelled the way it is. It's weird. It's a silent P in the middle of his name. Who does that?
I think it's Swiss origin.
Well, so is, I'm sure there's other people with Swiss in their origins, which have P's in their names that are pronounced P.
But not Batiste. And I don't understand why you're upset about it.
I don't understand either, okay? Might be a little hangry. All right, let's get back to the hand.
Randy bumps it up with the ace. That's a monster for him.
Digital Dan had limp threes under the gun. It's not as crazy as it may sound. He limps big hands, too, as we saw earlier. There he goes.
This is the second set of threes for Digital Dan, and it's a very similar board. And K6, once again, is flop top pair, by the way. Same thing.
Oh, he may get bailed out if Dan decides to drop the hammer right now.
Yeah, if Dan raises, K6 gets to fold. He gets to save.
He doesn't have to fold. He could decide just to go with these. He's only got $300 left. He's probably supposed to go with top pair on a wet board here.
Dan does raise 155.
It's the tightest guy at the table, check raising.
Second tightest.
Okay. I would guess, though, for check raises, Dan's probably got a tighter range than Wonka. K6 thinking about it. It's a weird spot here. We flop top pair. We flop pretty good. We even have a backdoor flush draw. We only have $305. We have a pot-sized bet at this point. I don't know if we can fold here.
We've been consistently beaten down for the last hour or so. It's been pretty much unlucky for us so far. It's hard to fold when that keeps happening.
When Digital Dan raises, what's he repping anyway? He's got sets and like 3-6 suited. I mean, there isn't that much that we really should be losing to.
He's got flush draws.
Great. But are the things we're worried about? It's just he makes a good fold.
I think it's probably right to fold.
Only because Digital Dan only check raises big hands, it seems. Against most players, I think you can't fold.
And Randy's lamenting it because Dan keeps check raising.
Does she have a hand when you do that?
There's always next week.
Yeah.
Counting on it.
Randy is taking his time, but he's definitely going to find a fold here.
I won't be here next week.
He's just upset because Dan's check raised him. He claims 4 times. And Dan's had it every time, Randy.
Yep.
Let you know.
That would come from anybody. I don't care.
Dan's actually had a lot of big flops in this session. He's flopped sets, he's flopped top 2, he's flopped bottom 2.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
It's not pleasant, but you understand. Hey.
Like shove, like screw this.
Set of threes twice now in 3 or 4 hands.
Yep.
Ace. Yeah, right.
Oh, you were?
Get paid once.
But in the end,
He's not going to play this one.
Club got there too.
It was close.
He wanted to. K6 right back into the fire.
Just limping it right in, huh? And Randy says, none of that. I'm going to keep making your life tough. I appreciate that.
Randy sees red when he sees limps.
Whoa, Thorpe just called with the 3 deuce off.
He's in the small blind at least.
Yeah, okay.
He's in the small blind. He's got the smallest hand. It works.
K6 with the 9-4 suited.
All right, this is a tilt from K6.
Yeah.
He limps the 9-4 suited because he's tilting.
He's got 60 blinds. He's limping 9-4 suited. There's something going on.
In the tournament, and now every time
And
I
you know
play,
how it
I'll
feels
be
when you
like
just miss everything.
Yeah.
This is what K6's life is right now.
Just for practice.
Randy's probably going to win this hand because nobody's flopped anything.
K6 might just be regretting that fold, even though it turns out it was correct. So I got to see more flops.
He's going to take a second, be upset, fold his hand.
Really, really taking his time there for no obvious reason. Randy takes it down.
I mean, usually you don't get to win with the 7-8 on that board when you get 3 callers, but
I mean, usually
nobody
someone's got
flopped anything.
Straight draws, top pair, middle pair, other things that are worth calling. But nothing. There's a persistence to Randy's c-betting, which has worked out pretty well for him so
Puts his
far.
cards in the exact same spot. Like
Yeah,
he goes
in the
like
square,
this.
like, for sure. He just,
Here's a real hand for K6.
He's playing this one.
And he doesn't limp this one. So he has a real hand. This one he's opening. Randy, by the way, said seriously, as if he's almost like, I can't believe you're opening this hand. K6 has been limping like constantly. Wonka's got a hand too.
I think we'll see him call here.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised to see a fold.
but he's got position on Randy. with a good hand. It seems crazy.
Aaron can't get in there fast enough with, I'm going to guess, Jack 6.
Well, maybe we'll find out. Digital Dan with those pocket threes one more time. Trying to hit the hat trick on sets here.
What's that?
This is a family pot. Got 7 players heading to this flop. Action Aaron, Queen Deuce suited. I was close.
Yeah, Batiste with the Jack 4 off. I know he's getting a hell of a price and he's closing the action.
You can flop quads.
He's going to have to. It's hard to win.
All right, let's try to decipher who flops something here.
Well, Wonka flopped the nut flush draw.
K6
And-
flops top pair.
And
Moves in.
Thorpe has a double gutter.
All right. So
With the
K6,
backdoor flush.
K6 moves in. I think Wonka's going to have to find a call here. Even though it's a bit more than pot and he's got players behind, if he calls here, he has to call further aggression too, right? Which kind of sucks.
I mean, you could fold because of that. You could just fold right now because of all the players behind you. But Wonka thinks he's good too often and has outs to the nuts, of course.
How about
many
Thorpe,
outs.
though? What do you think Thorpe should do with his Jack 10?
I think he's supposed to call now. He's on the button. I think he's actually supposed to call it.
I think he can fold because there's a flush draw out there.
He does have the 10 of spades in his hand, which gives him a little protection and is a blocker to. Of course, everyone saw this flop, so I think it's okay to call it once.
He's
You have to
getting
be
a good break.
careful.
It just sucks if somebody behind him raises.
Yes, he may have to ultimately throw it away, which does suck. But as we see,
Whereas I don't think Wonka could ever throw away his hand to a raise.
Right.
Thorpe could.
yeah, I agree. Well, I don't know if like Batiste, went all in. Wonka may have to fold, but yes, Wonka
So,
could have folded there.
For
though.
now,
Batiste
K6
is-
has the best of it. Ooh.
Wow.
Not
Wow.
only
Thorpe
does
makes the
Thorpe
nuts.
make the nuts, but Wonka is now open-ended with his nut flush draw.
It's the bad side of the open-ender, but come on.
You usually assume it helps your equity in some way. Of course, he has to have Jack 10 going through his head as a possibility.
Of course, but, I mean, you can't be afraid of one hand.
I imagine Wonka's just going to move in here.
Well, with 935, Thorpe has less than a pot-sized bet. I think it's a pretty clear. It's time for a pot-committing bet, whether it's moving him in or most of his stack.
It is a dry pot. Does that change your thoughts on that at all?
No, because if we check, Thorpe's probably going to move in a lot.
Yeah, and then
right?
we're not really supposed to call.
Yeah, so this way we get to be the guy. So if we get called, it's okay. We think we've got a lot of equity, right? Wonka does bet pretty big, it looks like.
It's not a move-in. It's 375, it looks like. Thorpe moves in, and Wonka's forced into calling.
Now he has to call. He calls quickly. He knows. That is not the hand you want to see if you're Wonka.
No.
But that's not the hand you want to see if you're Thorpe either.
And
King on the river.
K6 makes trips.
Yep, that is not going to be enough, though. K6 is...
That's his last money on the table there, and we're going to go to six-handed after this. But, man, that's a big pot.
3,500. It's amazing how quickly that pot grew, considering what felt like a fairly innocuous thing. That 8 of clubs on the turn really just made everybody very excited, right? It gave Wonka enough to have to go with, and of course it made Thorpe the nuts. Wonka's got to be thinking he didn't have to call that overbet
Right.
on the flop, which with all those people behind him. It
Yeah.
is a reason to fold. He could have just gotten away from it right
I
there.
mean, it's a pretty good flop.
It's a pretty good flop, and I can't fault the guy for going with it there. But still, you can also make a reasonable case. He's been playing tight and careful up until this hand, where he's been folding in all these sort of marginal spots. Maybe he just can't take it anymore.
Well, Thorpe gets to come up real big here.
Yeah.
That's a nice pot.
Wonka just lost a big chunk. He lost about $1,000 on that.
That might be the second biggest pot in Poker Time history.
You know what? It really might be, huh? Well, I'm excited to see the third biggest pot. I got to tell you what.
I'm excited to see the new first biggest pot. That's what you should be
Yeah,
excited for.
okay. That's a fair point.
All right, we've rearranged the table a little bit because K6 has gotten up, and now we're playing six-handed.
Yep.
And you can see that wall of chips for Batiste there. Wonka's reloaded.
There's Ace-King for Action Aaron. Thorpe has moved across the table. He's still in the same relative seat to everyone
Yeah.
else, but they've opened it up a little bit.
Pasco with
playing
a
six max.
probably not a call I would make with Ace-7 off, even against Action Aaron. I think it's a 3-bet or a fold.
I think it's probably a 3-bet
It's probably a 3-bet for sure.
against Action Aaron. But he does at least is on the button.
It's just not a hand that plays well post-flop at all.
Correct. And probably, I'm going to guess Aaron's going to bet this. Let's see if it's true. Yeah.
Yep.
That's going to end this hand.
Looks like 45? 35.
Randy, of course, calling the raise with 9-4 off.
And Randy's done with it.
Oh, Jack 9 there?
It's an incredible game, this game.
You know, if we can get these guys together every session, I would be happy.
Me too. Me too. This is as entertaining a poker game as I've seen in a long time, quite frankly.
I would like to jump in this game, man. I want to play this game.
I know.
All right, so let's see what the next hand action Aaron wants to open under the gun is.
Six-handed, he's got to open up his range a little more, his opening range here, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Gotta
we were
widen
7.
that.
It could be anything. It could be anything, Jonathan.
It's 6-4 off.
You get mine?
It says Dan Fold. Oh, there he is.
Pasco
20.
with the 10-9 off.
He's going to 3-bet. I
How
like
about
it.
that?
I wish he would have 3-betted the ace-7
I mean,
off,
if we're going
but
to 3-bet, why don't we 3-bet the ace-7, not the 10-9?
at least
Right.
he's 3-betting Aaron. That's
Yeah.
the right thing to be doing.
That's true. Of course, Randy is going to call with anything reasonable, and now we got to see a pot 3 ways with 10-9.
It flops pretty well.
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. And we do have position.
Well,
That ought to be enough. If Digital Dan's willing to bet and rep an overpair,
I believe he will bet this.
he should be betting this, unless Aaron decides to make a play. Let's see.
Yeah, here he goes.
I mean, if you had 2 aces, of course you'd bet here, right?
$100.
Feels super
This is
safe.
going to take it down.
Super safe. Yep. The guy's folded so fast, the camera couldn't keep up with him.
Nice play by the digital one.
We're not sure if he's real or not, but he might just be a hologram.
There is a song that I made up about Digital Dan, and someday maybe I'll sing it for you
It
people.
is quite a great song, I will say. I like it very much.
Someday.
The digital one. Here's the lyrics. I'll just give you the lyrics, not the melody. The digital one is a digital man. Digital Dan. Digital Dan.
Yep. And
great.
even when you say it like that, it's like slam poetry.
Not
Yeah.
a very good chance
Feels
that they're
good.
watching this, though. So God, I hope not.
Thorpe with his newly large stack under the gun folding.
Let's see if Thorpe tightens up a little bit now that he.
That
is
says
winning in the
Pasco,
game.
but that means Digital Dan, by the way.
Yes, that's right.
What is this, Dan?
Batiste,
Gonna limp.
a little thrown off by the digital Dan limp, but Randy with the 9 deuce off, raising to 40 on the button.
Randy's never thrown off by anything. Randy is pure go.
Digital Dan does fold, and Randy gets it heads up in position. He's going to win a lot of the time. He's going to win more than half the time, I think. For example,
Like on this board. Although Batiste might even peel one against Randy. He's seen Randy be super active.
with King 10 off,
Nah, yeah, he
you
just
can't.
gives it up.
You got to have like 2 diamonds on the board or 2 clubs on the board or something. You got to have some kind of hope. Look at Randy's face. He knows he stole that one.
I think it's pretty tough as a player playing in a long session with 3 players like Batiste, Randy, and Action Aaron. To not just have your will sapped over time and they just keep pounding away. You have to have fortitude for that.
On the turn, yes. Pre-flop, not so much. Trying out some new stuff.
Digital Dan with a digitally enhanced suited connecting type hand.
And that's not going to work too well against Batiste's hand.
Well, we'll
Oh, he
find
just
out.
flats.
It's shocking.
That's fun.
That is.
I like a little change of pace. Is Aaron 3-betting? No, he just calls.
You like a little change of pace, but Batista's been 3-betting constantly, and everyone always calls. He should probably be 3-betting.
He probably should, but this is fun. I want to see what happens.
It is fun. It is fun. And I guess if you call, sometimes this protects your calling range. You just can't do it too much in this game.
Well, we've got a gut shot for Pasco, a.k.a. Digital Dan.
He's just going to bet it, and I expect that is the end of that.
Yeah, I think so.
If there was even 1 club on there, Digital Dan could at least consider calling, but he's got 3 clean outs. That's just not enough.
It's a
Out of
slightly
position.
scary board. 8-9 gets there. There's sets on that board, but
I mean, whatever.
if Batiste gets raised on that flop, it starts the story of this could be bad.
Yep. Batista always seems to wriggle out of those things, though.
I mean, when you hit your 1-outer,
In a 5K pot?
yeah,
Sure, why not? After you're all in, you hit the 1-outer immediately.
I'm just impressed
Pretty
you
strong.
lied about it so long.
he didn't get to experience the 1-outer though. He didn't see the hands until the hand was over.
It's true. He thought he was ahead the whole way. If
Yeah.
anything, he was upset about the 1-outer because it brought clubs. But
That's right.
anyway,
Can we say that?
Randy obviously going to raise it up because he's got 2 cards in front of him. Here we go. Oh, a reasonable hand even.
Yeah,
That was a Jack 10 suited for Randy.
it was.
And Digital Dan is going to digitally defend with the 5 deuce suited.
And Aaron is also going to defend his button with a 6 deuce off.
Okay, sure. Why not?
Digital Dan flops best. Randy's got a gut shot. Action Aaron has the deuce high backdoor flush draw.
That is a great point, actually. He's the only one with the club in his hand. Randy's only going to bet 25. That's cheap.
Oh, Aaron
Randy usually
hasn't
bets
folded
bigger.
yet.
Oh, is Aaron going to make a play? It looks like he's going to make a play. Good times. Here we go. I wonder if he's jumping on the bet size or if he just thinks he picked up something else on Randy. Randy calls right away with his gut shot to the nuts.
And Jack high, which is always good here.
Really wanted there to be a spade on the board, but that is not going to help Randy's cause.
Randy has more 9s in his range than Aaron has in his after the flop action.
But Aaron has, sets of 5s and things like that, and king 9.
He
Even
does.
9-5.
I think this is going to work.
Oh, yeah.
And quickly Randy folds.
Nice hand by Aaron. How much did he bet there? 130. Just a pure bluff. Is he going to show it? No.
Nah.
Shows it to himself.
He's shown enough today.
He really has.
These kids are going to have to figure it out on their own.
It's got to feel good when you make that play, though, you know? It's like, I think it feels good when I make a bluff, but I always have a reason for the bluff. That just seems like...
You don't do the call with 6 deuce off on the button and then raise the flop and bet the turn thing?
I don't do that very often, no, unless I have, some kind of equity in the hand or there's another really good reason. But
Well, you ain't living, buddy.
I guess not. Fair enough.
All right,
That looks
Randy.
fun.
Is Randy going to open
No.
this hand? His
No.
range is opened even wider
It's
recently.
impossible. Nothing is impossible. It's like Kevin Garnett.
He opens it. It happens.
Action Aaron with a real hand.
2 10s for Action Aaron, and he's going to 3-bet, which is the right move here.
Sure, against Randy's constant opening range under the gun, no problem.
Randy's not folding. Look at this.
He's going to call. He always calls. It's fine. I love 2 10s in position, though.
Wait, did he say raise?
He has put in a
He
4
makes
bet.
it 175. And
Aaron just
folded.
He just folded to look at Randy's face. He can't believe it. I can't believe it. Guys, the session just gets crazier and crazier. You got to come back next week for the final 2 sessions, I guess. Or we got 2 left.
So 2 more weeks.
Well, whatever.